Okay, thanks for doing this interview with me today. I just wanted to kind of let people hear from you and see you live, so to speak, in this interview so that they can kind of get caught up. You know, we did an interview about almost a year ago now with you.
Wow, hard to believe.
That was you and Joe, I think, on the phone at the same time, yeah.
Right. My husband and I got married later in life and had children later in life, and so now the formative years of middle school, high school. So my husband got transferred to Raleigh with running the company, and as soon as we got here, then it was bought out. So we were here, we didn't want to leave, and we decided, let's figure out what we're going to do next. And so we found this ABS license, researched it, came to the training, launched our own company, and that was, I think, 7 years ago. And we really chose it for several things, and the main thing was for the lifestyle. Our children were in the age of middle school and high school then that we really needed to be around, and corporate America really took us away from that, plus traveling internationally, that we just thought it was time to be with our children, and this has been the perfect fit for that lifestyle.
So you didn't have there was no background or relationship with the medical field at all?
Zero.
Yeah. So
I hate the smell of hospitals.
Well, I did too. Yeah. Well, so what caused you? Why did you and Joe look at this business?
As Patrick can attest, I'm not really that strong in the high tech arena. So we said the other option is medical. So those are the two big sectors here in Raleigh. And so we said, okay, let's look at the medical business. And that's when we found you.
There we were, just out there on a franchise site or something?
Yes, and actually I think it was somebody else that was in banking at the time, and they were looking to do something different, and they knew that we were looking to maybe start something, and they sent us an email, and we looked into it. So I think a lot of people are out there searching and looking for this kind of business, and we just got kind of a referral, and they weren't a franchise or licensee of ABS. They were just heard about it too, and they were in banking, and they thought they would love to do something different.
Now, if I'm looking at the dates right here, that was back in 2007?
That is correct, because we moved here in 2006. And then, summer of 2007, was it not, Patrick? I think we came in the summer, July.
Yes, July, that's right.
Mid-2007.
Right. Well, do you remember talking to any of our references when you were looking into the business?
We did. We called probably 3 references. One was in our area, one in this particular geographic area, and the other 2 were not. And that was the good news too. Nobody was bothered by geographic or competition or anything. I think it's just there is so much business that it didn't really matter. I thought, I'm going to call this gentleman in Raleigh, and he'll be maybe irritated that somebody's looking in his area, but that wasn't the case. And to this day, people call me if they're even in our. It's a non-issue. So that was probably a good thing too, that nobody was threatened. Nobody felt like I'm taking over their territory. And so, yes, we did do due diligence. We called about 3 people that had licensees, and then we came to the training.
Yeah, because you have to be careful nowadays, don't you? I mean, there's a lot of scams and other things out there.
Most definitely. And I would recommend everybody do due diligence, call 2 or 3 people, and follow up on everything.
Yeah. So you're obviously in your home right now. Do you still run your business out of your home?
We do.
Oh, cool.
And
yeah, you like that lifestyle, huh?
Yeah, you can still get the laundry done, and you can still make the games at 3 or 4 in the afternoon and still get back. That's one of the beauties of this web base is you can do it. My husband loves the early hours. He gets up at 4, goes to the gym at 5, and he's working at 6. And I'm a little later riser and go to the gym, and then I'll work, a little later then. And so it's wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah. Do you remember back when you first got started? What did you do initially to go out and try to get the thing kicked off? What kind of marketing, methods did you try?
I did mainly dropping off, what we were taught in class was taking a business card, going into each of the doctor's offices, potential doctor's office, give them their business card, just ask for the office manager, their name. You weren't going to be there to really sell anything. You're just going to get a name and get out. And then I followed up with phone calls and that kind of thing.
So connecting with your warm market, people you know already, people who know people, that kind of thing. Did you do any kind of like business networking with the chamber or BNI or something like that?
I did BNI. I joined the BNI group, and I did like that. The chamber wasn't as probably fruitful for me, but I know a lot of people do the chamber. But Joe and I each had different BNI groups that we would belong to, and that was helpful too. I will say though, just getting that initial one, and once you start building your practice, for us, it's been like the marketing falls off because it's word of mouth, and your doctors are then engaged in, pharmaceutical reps, and they're in meetings, and they are your biggest advocate if you please them.
Sure.
So after the first couple, I think the next 3 were references from them, and that just really jumpstarts your business.
So what did you think about that? What was your initial impression there at the end of that training week? Did we give you enough? Did we cover everything you thought we should? Did you feel comfortable with the marketing?
Our class was heavily emphasized on marketing. And Patrick, I don't know if you've changed the week-long training to be more hands-on on learning the software. But the philosophy when we were going through it is we're going to spend our most time getting you the client, and we're going to spend most of our training on how you're going to get your first client. And once you get your first client, because you won't remember a lot of things in training by the time you get your client, when you get your first client, we are here for you, and we will help you set it up and do everything. Because if we tell you now, and then it's 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road, you might not remember, and we would spend a lot of time on that. And so that's how our training was, and quite frankly, it was exactly like they told us it would be. Right. That we got our first client, and your staff was just so hands-on and so helpful, and we could not have done it without. I mean, when you get that first client, you're just so excited, and you have no idea what to do. But your staff just walks us through and holds our hand, and then once you get that first client under your belt, then you don't need that much support anymore from your staff. But that first one you really do, and it was there. Because I was very nervous about that.
And what was the timeline there from the time you left the training? How did you ramp up and?
Right. Well, the July is what came, and then the month of August we spent on incorporating our business, getting our business cards, all the logistics of starting a business, which they covered in training. And so we spent the month of August doing that. So we probably didn't get out and start marketing until September. And the end of October, we had our first client.
Yeah. Well, good.
So training till October, like 3 months. But one of those months really wasn't even marketing. We were trying to get established with our company name and our business cards and incorporating and all the logistics before we went out. So it was really just 2 months of marketing.
Yeah, we find that to be true, that most people, even though they think they've done something, maybe even before they get to the training class, we give them so many things that they probably didn't think of during that week that they take another 30, 45 days before they even think about going out and doing the marketing part, because there's a lot to just get in place.
Exactly. I'm sure most people that come to your training have never set up their own business, and this is their own business. So There's a lot of logistics to setting up your business and articles of incorporation, and I thought we were pretty rapid in a month, just getting, we hit it and just like get this going. So we have to factor that in.
Yeah, and so just so you know, Jennifer, because I know you do take some reference calls for us from time to time, and we really appreciate that. Just so you know, we've changed the training so that people have almost a full day. Well, yeah, it is a full day of hands-on. We bring in laptops, and they're actually in the system, actually doing medical billing. They put in patient demographics, the codes. They use a super bill. It's almost like, okay, once that day is over, they go, oh, there was no big deal about that. That's simple software.
I know, and that would have been helpful. I'm glad you added that, Patrick, because I was a little nervous because they just kept saying, trust us, and it was true. They were there. But I think leaving the training now, I would like that level of comfort. So I'm glad that you do that now, because at least that takes the mystique and the unknown out of it. And I think that is more helpful.
So you see, you got the first client. What kind of doctor was that, and how did you get that particular doctor? Do you remember?
Yes, internal medicine doctor, and it's actually one of my neighbor's uncle. It's just a huge confidence booster once you get that first client of just knowing what to do, how to get it. Then the next one and the next one is so much easier. It's the first one that's just very nerve-wracking. So I just want to encourage everybody, just hang in there as that first one.
Yeah, and you did. I mean, it was, like you said, within the first 3 months or so, but that's pretty typical. Most people don't realize that, this business is not going to go away. It's not a fad. There's no race here other than, of course, people want cash flow.
And once you get that first client and the cash starts flowing, the next ones are so much easier. And even still, just the return on the investment is pretty remarkable for any business in this business particularly. And so that's another thing is the return on the investment, how quickly you can get that back.
So did you and Joe work this part-time or just kind of jump into it full-time?
We jumped in it full-time.
Yeah.
We started full-time, yes.
That's always best if you can. I tell people, if you've got a job, don't quit it. You need to keep your cash flow going yourself while you build this,
But I've talked to several folks that they're either a significant other or their spouse. If one can kind of devote while the other one still is the cash flow, I think that's the best case scenario.
It is. That's perfect, yeah. Now, I'm sorry, did you tell me what type of provider that first one was?
Internal medicine.
Yeah, internal, yeah.
Family medicine, yes.
And was that a pretty good account? Was it a good cash flow for you?
It was a good one to start out with. It wasn't overwhelming. It's one of our smaller accounts right now, but I just think that was a blessing because you want to really, if you get a great big one, that's great. But for us, just to learn it and not be overwhelmed, it was a good one to start out with.
Yeah, I tell people, you think that you want, this big 5 practice provider practice, but you don't, not to start with.
No. And yes, I would encourage to start small. And when folks call me, I really stress the importance of doing a great job for that client because, again, at the end of the day, that's where you're going to get your references. And some people do shotgun, one every week or every month. But for us, once we get a client, we tell ourselves we're not going to take on another client for 3 months. And we just, even if somebody calls us and said, we can get to you next month, but we really would just say, we really want to do a great job. But to do too much too fast, it's your business and you want to make sure that you do well and starting out and build it solidly.
It pays to really make sure that you're doing a good job for that first doctor because if you do a good job, the referrals will come.
Exactly. And then the converse is if you're kind of, if you try to do too much and you take on 2 or 3 more and you don't do any of them very well, your reputation isn't going to start out well and you're going to have to dig out of a hole. And so I would, just slow and steady and build the foundation that you need to.
Do you remember, Jennifer, how you decided how to charge for this first internal medicine doctor? Was it on a percentage basis? Or?
It was on a percentage basis. Yeah. And I was privy because of my relationship with my neighbor that she was sort of able to figure out what the percentage was before. And for this particular one, we sort of just maybe 0.5% undercut just to get our foot in the door. That was our lowest, percentage, and still to this day is our lowest percentage, but we just felt like we wanted to get going and get in. So you'll do things, I think, that first client that you might not do your second or third client.
Yeah, you learn, don't you? That
well, we purposely knew that, to get this client, we probably need to have some differentiation. And since we don't have a lot of experience so far, let's just, if we know what the price point is, and she even said, he's one of these doctors that if he can save a percentage, he'll go with you. And so we kind of had that coaching. Yeah. And so we knew what it would take to get the client. So we were willing to do that because we wanted our first client.
Sure.
We are cash flow managers for our clients and our doctors, and they're not good businessmen. And so we meet with them when we have tailored reports every month for them, and then show them ways that they could grow their business. And we have grown their business every year that we've had their business. And so we really are been very deliberate in trying to do that for all our clients. And we try to say we're not billers, we're partners in this, because billers connotes we just key in things. And you can hire anybody to key something in.
Right.
You can't hire somebody to look out for you and think and grow your business like you're a partner in it. And that's how we look at all our businesses, and I think that's how our doctors appreciate us, that we're partners in this and we want them to succeed and grow. And we're not just clerks at input billing, because we're kind of experts after one or two. And that's another thing that was very surprising to me after one or two clients. You do know a lot and you do pick up a lot, and we don't really feel like we always have to go, as I'll call it, back to the mothership to ask questions. We're on our own out here.
Sure, yeah. And that's the way we want. We want to cut you loose and say, hey, it's your business, take it and run with it. But, as you know, we have lifetime support, so you guys can always call us about anything.
It's incredible. It is incredible. Very responsive. And that's what I will tell everybody that calls in, that calls me to ask about the franchise, is the responsiveness. Starting from you, Patrick, all the way down is very, very responsive. And I don't think they find that with a lot of licensee or franchise companies they're looking at. What we loved about it, it is web-based, and so anybody has their own platforms and whatever they're comfortable with, but the web-based is really what was appealing to us. You can take it everywhere, not that, you're on vacation, you can just take it with you. And that was another thing, that when you have your own business, I don't care what kind of business is, you're not really ever leaving it. And so the fact that you can pack up laptops and go was another big plus.
Yeah, and we literally have licensees who send us pictures of them sitting on the beach in Hawaii with their laptops, saying, "This is the only way to work. This is my office."
Exactly, because you can go on vacation, then you not come back. Because most people in typical, you work twice as hard to go on vacation, and then you have to work twice as hard when you get back, because that time you took off, you have to catch up. Whereas you can just take this with you. You don't have to work ahead. You can't work ahead because things come in every day. And you're not going to be behind when you get back, because you'll just take it with you and you'll work leisurely and you'll get it done. And that's another beauty of it as well.
Now, you and Joe are working this full time at this point. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Have you hired anybody to help out, or you just guys handle it all?
We did it one time, Patrick. And what we found is, I think the myth was, okay, when we get to X number of clients, and I think the X number was 3 or 4 maybe clients, we better hire somebody.
Yeah.
So, okay, Joe and I can handle each one, then 2, then 3, then, okay, 3 to 4. Well, and what we have found is we're working just smarter and more efficiently, and we absorb the accounts. And so when we hired that person, because we met that magic number, whatever we decided, we just got so efficient that we really thinking, gosh, well, we absorbed that. We really don't need her. And I think we're up to 6 now and haven't needed anybody, and probably can absorb another 1 or 2. And really, I think they'll find that once you get, and that's one reason we take that 3 months. If you take the 3 months and really understand your client, figure that out, the setup is the hardest and the longest. And then once the daily, you can really absorb them. But I do still like that 3-month rule that we've implemented for our business. It's not for everybody, but for us, it's just, we're not going to take on anybody until we have it under our belt. And then you go on. And then we really just work more efficiently. For the most part, we targeted smaller practices so we could be a partnership with them versus, bigger groups. So, it's just turned out this way that we've kind of gotten our portfolio down to internal medicine. It started out with chiropractic, psychiatry, internal medicine, and one time we did an orthopedic. But and everybody is different. But for us, I feel like it was easier to specialize, and internal medicine was what we found that we can serve our clients better instead of being fragmented trying to learn all this other. But people do all of the above. But it just so happened that our portfolio at one time was all that, and then we've kind of just scaled it down now to internal medicine.
I think that's smart, actually. We've had licensees who've started out with a orthopedic surgeon, for example, and then, of course, that surgeon knew another orthopedic surgeon, and so they
Exactly.
became
Authority.
experts. Yeah, authority in that particular specialty, which is fine. They just didn't know that they were going to go that route, but who cares? You didn't know you were going to go internal medicine, probably. So,
Correct. Yes, but that's just for our scene. We have found that, again, because we had 3 or 4 other different specialties, but now we're back to just, internal medicine.
that's good. You become more familiar with all the codes and everything. By the way, let's
Exactly.
talk about that just for a second. For people who are looking into this business, you didn't have any experience or training in the coding, and yet
Oh,
that's a big
zero.
concern for a lot of people.
No, like I told you, only because we were interested, because we're in the geographic area we're in, it was either a high tech or medical. But I think we talked about this at the beginning of this conversation is medical is something that I faint at the smell of hospitals. So this is not an area that even like I gravitate towards. So it just happened that this was what this geographic location that we're in is a big medical metropolis. So to that end, I would never have any schooling on this because, like I said, dissecting a frog or anything in the medical, I faint. I get a shot, I start fainting. Give blood, I start fainting. So yes, this is not an area that I would ever have had any background in at all. But here we are,
And
and I
people,
haven't
and
fainted.
obviously, yeah, and obviously people don't need that kind of experience with coding because you get the codes from the doctor, right? And they're in our system, so they either match up or they don't.
We have made that very clear, Patrick, when we meet with our doctors that we do not want to be responsible for the coding and that they would need to provide that.
Yeah. Jennifer, do you find that most of the doctors that you originally, when you were out marketing, calling on, already outsourced, or are some of them still doing it in house?
I think it was about 50-50, Patrick. I was surprised at the number still in house.
That's still the number we're hearing from licensees, even after 7 years. It's just amazing that I think some of them try outsourcing, then they bring it back in house because that company doesn't have the best technology or don't know how
Right.
to do it correctly, haven't been trained and so forth. All right, so without getting into, of course, specifics about you and Joe and your lifestyle and income and so forth, I know everybody's always interested in the fact that you said you had 6 accounts. Do you plan to grow any, or does that seem to provide what you guys need to, for your lifestyle?
Well, it has provided and is providing. Everybody, we could always say we'll want another client, but then I always would say, at what cost? So we go through seasons. I think, like I said before, we have maybe 7 or 8, and for different reasons, it doesn't fit or whatever. But now that we're back to 6 with our lifestyle right now, I think we just go through phases of saying, okay, 6 is right for now, and maybe in 6 months from now, if we don't have the demands of lacrosse season or whatever the dynamics are going on, then I'll look for another one. But to answer your question, financially, it is providing, and so we don't feel like, oh, I have to have another account or I won't be able to make my mortgage payment, that kind of thing. So
Right. Yeah.
I think we ebb and flow. We've had larger portfolios when we had maybe more time, and then things, then we're like, well, this is comfortable now. Let's not stress. We're in a season. This is working for us. It's paying our bills, so we have this coming up, and so we kind of just it's worked out like that for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Everybody has to come to their own comfort level. It's either time or money. I mean, you have to weigh that, don't you? Yeah.
correct. And it might be in another couple of years if, get another one in college and say, okay, we got to get back up again. But for now, that's the reality of it.
Sure.
It's like, okay, we might need to let's just try to get 2 more clients for the next couple of years and see but for now, I'm liking the non-stress of everything.
I like that. Yeah. Well, sometimes there are things more important than just making oodles and noodles of money. Having
Exactly.
time with your spouse, with your boys while they're still there, that's very
Exactly.
important.
It's
And
price. It's priceless, and so that's why this has been perfect. We just launched. Our oldest was just starting college this past fall. So just the years that we've had this 6 years, that was through middle school and high school with him. It's just been time that we just see the fruits of that labor is we can't get back, and it's priceless. I mean, and I know that Carson sees it too, and just saw that our lifestyle, that we were always there for him. It's just been phenomenal, and we are very blessed. But there's no guarantees. But I feel like because we had that time to invest, we didn't have the issues we didn't have, and we just had a very sweet 6 years with him.
Are you still getting reference calls from time to time from people that are calling you about us?
Oh yes. And I probably get maybe 2 a month. So that's good. Maybe 2 to 4, about 2 a month, I'm thinking.
And what are some of the biggest questions you get that you feel like comes up over and over again from those people?
I think, the general question is, am I pleased with the product? I think that's what everybody, it's basically they don't want to invest in something, that they want to hear from other people that they're pleased with the product.
Sure.
And that is just a no-brainer for me. I mean, it's just been phenomenal. So that's the first question. And the second one usually is, how long does it take to, I think they want to manage expectations. So they want to know, one, is it a good product, and who they say they're going to be, and they're going to be there. And then second of all, of just what's a reasonable expectation that I can get my first account and when I can get my payback from my investment, and those kind of things. The financial questions of what is the time frame and what does that look like? Because they're trying to balance, did they quit their job? Do they go part-time? They're trying to figure out what that takes. And I, again, and just encourage them, put the time in on that first account. It takes a lot longer than anything. But the second one will be half that. The third one will be a third of that. And the fourth one, you probably won't do anything. And you'll get, so it's that diminishing, you've got to put that work in up front.
Well, so Jennifer, thank you for your time. I just kind of wanted to ask one last question here, and I didn't prepare you for any of these questions, but this one you certainly are probably not prepared for. But given what you know now about the business and ABS, would you do it again?
Oh, for sure. And again, for all the things I have talked about, I call it barrier to entry is very low. When we looked at companies, we did not want a huge cash outlay. We did not want a bricks and mortar. I mean, this is service business and it's a computer business. And so those are the kind of things we looked at, of just not only the franchise, is a reasonable fee, but there was not a lot of other, what I call capital assets. Almost everybody has a computer and everybody has a printer, and those are the kind of things that you need to start. So besides the fee, there wasn't really a lot of hidden fees. Yes, you incorporate, but when you look at a lot of businesses, it takes a lot to recuperate your capital, meaning if you rent an office or rent a building, you buy inventory for all these other, kind of businesses. There was no inventory. There's no bricks and mortar. You can work out of your home. Everybody has a computer. Was really a no-brainer for us. Of just the low cost of entry, and we'll give it a try, I think is the real enticing thing about this business. Because what I tell people, they're like, well, when you look at having your own business, this is one of the lowest costs of entry and one of the quickest returns, and you don't have a lot of moving parts, and at the end of it, you don't have to sell off inventory or sell a building or get out of a lease or rent. And so it's low risk, I guess is what I'm saying. You could look at it that way.
All right. Well, Jennifer, you've been a trooper. Thank you for going through all that we went through to try to figure out the technology behind what we're doing here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Thanks
all right,
again.
now I'm going to try to find the little telephone thing. Yep, I found it now.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.